Hey everyone, I'm Amber. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about divorce in ancient China. It wasn't a simple matter where men could casually dismiss their wives at will. In ancient times, divorce actually followed several distinct patterns. The first and most common type was husband-initiated repudiation, known as the 7 grounds for expulsion or 7 reasons for dismissal. These 7 conditions originated from the Elder Dai's Book of Rights: disobedience to parents, in-law, failure to bear a son, adultery, jealousy, serious illness, excessive talkativeness or gossip, mongering, and theft. If a husband believed his wife violated one of these 7 faults, he could write a letter of repudiation, effectively a unilateral divorce declaration. While this granted significant power to husbands, safeguards existed through the 3 prohibitions protecting wives. A wife could not be divorced if she had completed the full 3-year mourning period for her parents-in-law, if the husband had been poor at marriage but later became wealthy, or if the wife had no family to return to after divorce. This principle was famously called "Do not cast aside the wife who shared your humble beginnings." The Book of the Later Han records a man named Bo Yong who divorced his wife because she scolded a dog in front of her mother-in-law, reasoning that harshness towards a dog must indicate disrespect towards the mother-in-law. This case shows the husband held complete subjective power in interpreting the 7 grounds. The records of court and country also mentions that imperial censor Li Yuansu, whose wife Lady Wang bore no children, sought to divorce her to remarry. Lady Wang's brother was Chancellor Wang Ye, who brought the case to court. The court ultimately ruled that the 3 prohibitions applied because the husband had risen from poverty to wealth after marriage, and Liu Wensu was ordered not to divorce his wife. This case reflects Tang Dynasty judicial restrictions on the 7 grounds. The second type was righteous severance, where authorities intervened to enforce divorce. The term yij appears in the Tang Code with commentaries. What triggered righteous severance? Simply put, it occurred when serious criminal acts created deep enmity between the families of the husband and wife. For instance, if the husband assaulted or killed the wife's relatives, or conversely, if the wife assaulted the husband's parents or elders, or if there were serious crimes like adultery or murder between the 2 families. Once authorities determined righteous severance had occurred, divorce was mandatory and immediate. Refusal meant facing legal prosecution and imprisonment. This was like the ancient equivalent of a family court issuing its most rigid judgment, demanding execution. This divorce method emphasized that the ethical order between families could not be disrupted. If disrupted, separation was necessary to prevent endless future troubles. The Book of the Later Han records a poor man named Li Chong whose wife suggested dividing the household. Pretending to agree, Li Chong hosted a family gathering and publicly denounced his wife. She tried to separate mother and son. This woman must be expelled. He divorced her, citing failure to serve parents-in-law, though his real motive was wounded pride from his wife exposing their poverty. Authorities confirmed the divorce through the righteous severance procedure. The Mirror of Legal Cases also recounts the case of a woman named Zhao who quarreled with her mother-in-law, causing the latter to die from rage-induced illness. Authorities determined she had assaulted and caused the death of her husband's elder, triggering the righteous severance clause. Zhao was sentenced to exile 3,000 li and the marriage was forcibly dissolved, illustrating the link between the Thames Code's 10 abominations, crime of filial impiety, and righteous severance. The third and most groundbreaking type was amicable separation, first formally recorded in the Thames Code with commentaries. Its core principle was husband and wife cannot live in harmony, meaning couples whose relationship had broken down could divorce by mutual agreement witnessed by relatives. Dunhuang manuscript SO343, a letter of release, documents the typical procedure. The couple jointly declared 2 hearts differ, difficult to unite in purpose, invited 6 relatives and kinfolk to witness and sign the document, ultimately achieving part with ease, live with joy. This institutional design was extremely rare in contemporary world legal systems. Amicable separation was the most groundbreaking, formally included in the Thames Code with commentaries. Its core lay in husband and wife cannot live in harmony, meaning couples whose emotional bond had broken could divorce by mutual agreement in the presence of relatives. Much like divorce today, if both spouses felt the marriage was untenable, the relationship irretrievably broken, they could sit down, discuss matters, and reach a divorce agreement witnessed by relatives, friends, or village elders, parting peacefully. Legally, this divorce was recognized. If husband and wife separate amicably due to inability to live in harmony, they shall not be punished. This meant that for voluntary, mutually agreed divorce, authorities would not hold either party liable or impose penalties. This was truly a breath of fresh air in ancient marital systems. Among the ancient documents discovered in Dunhuang, there is a letter releasing the husband written by a wife named Amen. Because the family was desperately poor, household livelihood gradually becoming unsustainable, unable to survive. After a joint decision by the village community, she was permitted to dismiss her husband Fu Ying, letting him leave. This shows that under specific circumstances, women could also exercise some initiative in divorce. Speaking of amicable separation, one must mention the Tang dynasty's letters of release. Among the precious manuscripts found in Dunhuang, there are several such Tang divorce agreements. They don't read like cold legal documents. Instead, they are full of humanity, even a touch of romance, and free-spiritedness. A standard letter of release typically contained several parts. First was a warm preamble, often recalling the past. The cause of becoming husband and wife lies in 3 lifetimes of karmic ties formed in previous existences, only then matched as husband and wife in this life, meaning their union was predestined from past lives. It might describe the initial marital bliss. Husband and wife facing each other, just like mandarin ducks flying in pairs, portraying harmony and happiness. Next came the reasons for divorce. For example, the wife speaks one word like many mouths. The husband responds with angry eyes, breeding resentment. Perhaps the wife nagged a bit too much. The husband grew annoyed and gave dirty looks. Like cat and mouse despising each other described the tense relationship. Though discussing conflict, the wording was vivid and even somewhat self-deprecating. Then, the crucial part. Since 2 hearts differed, difficult to unite in purpose, since their hearts were no longer as one, and thoughts couldn't be reconciled, quickly gathered the relatives, each returns to their original path. This meant promptly inviting relatives and friends to witness, and each going their separate ways. The most famous line is, "Part with ease, live with joy," meaning after parting, both would be unburdened, each seeking new happiness, completely free of resentment or curses, only releasing with blessings. Of course, just nice words weren't enough. Practical provisions were included. It might state 3 years' clothing and grain, hereby offered as gentle provision, meaning the husband would provide the wife with clothing and grain equivalent to 3 years of living expenses, serving as alimony or separation payment. This reflected basic security for the wife's future life. Some documents specifically listed which dowry items the wife would take. The conclusion often held sincere blessings. May the lady, after parting, recomb her cicada wing hair, beautifully sweep her moths, feel her brows, select and wed a master of high office. Meaning, may you, lady, after leaving me, restyle your beautiful hair, paint your lovely eyebrows, and remarry into a good family with a man more capable and of higher status than me. This blessing not only wished the other well, but even encouraged remarriage to find new happiness. The values displayed in this document were remarkably advanced for its time, even by modern standards. It acknowledged relationship breakdown as a valid reason for divorce. It emphasized peaceful negotiation to resolve conflict. It guaranteed the wife certain economic benefits. Most importantly, it did not consider female remarriage shameful at all. Temp society was relatively open, with higher female status. Emperor Taizong's revision of the clan records broke aristocratic constraints, objectively enhancing individual value. This social environment enabled 28 Temp princesses to remarry, a high proportion of 21% of imperial marriages. The Song dynasty's great literary talent, Li Qingzhao, was even more formidable. To escape her morally corrupt second husband, she risked imprisonment by exposing his fraud in the imperial examinations, ultimately succeeding in divorcing him and sending the scoundrel to jail. Unfortunately, starting from the Song dynasty, and especially during the Ming and Qing dynasties, divorce became exceptionally difficult for women. That free, spirited part with ease, live with joy attitude seemed replaced by heavy shackles rooted in complex and profound social reasons. First, after the Song, the small-scale peasant economy model became more entrenched. Within this structure, a wife was not just a family member but a vital labor force. She undertook heavy household chores, child-rearing, weaving, raising poultry and livestock, and even participated in field work. Divorce meant the loss of a crucial productive force for the husband's family. Simultaneously, the cost of remarrying became exorbitantly high, practically sky-high. Calculating the economic costs, many families simply couldn't afford to divorce. Divorce ceased to be a matter between 2 people. It became an affair concerning the entire families, even the clan's economic lifeline. Secondly, the rise of Chengdu Neo-Confucianism in the Song dynasty imposed unprecedented constraints on women. Neo-Confucian scholars advocated death by starvation is a small matter. Loss of chastity is a great matter, elevating female chastity above life itself. Remarriage was seen as a profound disgrace, a major moral stain. Social attitudes were filled with discrimination and pressure against remarried women. The Ming and Qing governments vigorously honored chaste widows, erecting chastity arches for them, promoting them as moral exemplars. This invisibly placed heavy spiritual shackles on all women, making them afraid and unable to divorce easily. During the Ming and Qing, local clan power was immensely strong. A clan often had its own rules and family laws. In the eyes of the clan elders, divorce, especially when initiated or suffered by the woman, was extremely shameful, severely damaging the entire clan's reputation and prestige. Therefore, clan rules often imposed harsh punishments on discontented women seeking divorce or remarriage, ranging from reprimands and confinement to private punishments, even deprivation of clan rights. Clans became a powerful force suppressing women's freedom to divorce. Cheng established patriarchal organizations and formulated the Cheng clan rules, strictly forbidding expelling wives, with violators subject to the clan head receiving 100 cane strokes. Legal practice concurrently tightened. The Song Penal Code added a clause, wife, leaving without permission. 2 years, penal servitude. Finally, legal restrictions increased. For example, Ming and Qing law stipulated that a husband seeking to divorce his wife couldn't simply write a letter of repudiation as before. It required official government review and approval, setting a higher barrier to divorce. Simultaneously, punishments for women leaving their husbands unilaterally became more severe. Therefore, during those times, it was extremely difficult for women to leave their husbands. Indeed, divorce methods act like a mirror, reflecting the complex interplay of family, economy, and power throughout history. In open eras like the Han and Thames, the state was strong, society relatively stable. The Thames, through the Silk Road, had frequent exchanges with the outside world, and the economy was prosperous. Women played more active roles in socio-economic activities, such as running shops and owning their own property and dowries. In this environment, the social atmosphere was more tolerant, with higher acceptance of personal emotions, marital freedom, including divorce and remarriage. The emergence of the letters of release was no accident. In conservative eras, like the Song, Ming, and Qing, the small-scale peasant economy dominated, absolutely. This economic model was very fragile, unable to withstand major upheavals like war or natural disasters. To maintain social stability, rulers tended to bind each family tightly with a set of strict ethical norms, like the Neo-Confucian 3 bonds and 5 constants, with the stability of marriage at the family's core. Women's roles were strictly confined to the domestic sphere, becoming tools for reproduction and labor. Divorce, especially when initiated by women or leading to remarriage, was seen as a threat to this stable order. Thus, the shackles grew heavier. Chastity arches proliferated, and the space for divorce freedom was drastically compressed, from the free-spirited Dunhuang letters of release to the oppressive weight of the Qing chastity arches. The evolution of divorce systems in ancient China is essentially a microcosm of civilizational history. It records how individuals sought space to survive within the warp and weft of patriarchal networks, economic demands, and ethical thought currents. It also reminds us that any discussion of marriage must be understood within its specific historical and cultural context. This profound insight into systems and human nature is precisely the unique wisdom bequeathed to the world by the Chinese legal tradition. I am Amber. Catch you next time.